RM Sotheby's is the world's largest collector car auction house by total sales. They are the preeminent market maker of high-quality collector cars and collections, regardless of size or complexity. By working in partnership with the Sotheby's team and its network of 80 offices in 40 countries, RM Sotheby's has established the largest client network of any collector car auction house in the world. Join the RM Sotheby's family by connecting with one of their car specialists at rmsotheby's.com or contact me directly at gstanley@rmsotheby's.com. LLC TLC is here to save you money on all of your vehicle purchases. LLC TLC will permanently register your classic cars in Montana to avoid any annual renewal fees. As your registered agent, they will handle everything for you so you never have to step foot in Montana. And as a listener of this podcast, LLC TLC is offering 30% off your entire package. Simply go to llctlc.com/classic or mention this podcast when you contact LLC TLC directly. Well, welcome to the Collector Car Podcast. I'm thrilled to have a returning guest, Leslie Blinn. Leslie, how are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you for breaking in the action of Elkhart Lake.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the big Ferrari annual meet at Elkhart Lake here in a moment. And I know you've been super swamped with everything that has to do with getting that set up. I know it's a huge undertaking, but as the chief concourse judge, can you give us just a brief background as far as why you love Ferrari so much and maybe a couple other cars that might be in your garage or on your wish list?
Well, I have to be honest, it's a weird thing. A lot of people really didn't know about Ferraris. They really weren't a big thing. And I'm going to say this until Magnum PI. Then everybody noticed that Ferrari, and that's become the iconic model that everybody looks at. And that's kind of when I got really interested. And then at the time, soon after that, I was married to someone who was involved in the Ferrari Club in the Pacific region and had a 330 GTS that he showed. And so that is how I got involved in the club. I got involved in everything about the club. The people are really the best part of the club. The cars are great, but the connections you make with people like yourself, you and I, it was about the cars. And then our relationship goes from there. Right. So that's why I love Ferrari. They bring a lot to the party, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. Now you have a really beautiful white Ferrari in your garage, don't you?
I have a 1990 white Testarossa with navy interior. I usually don't do red. I like the other colors. I've had a white 328 with red interior.
Wow.
And that was pretty stunning. And now I have this car, which is a keeper. I will have it forever. It is a preservation car. It is perfect. And I love driving it. In fact, remember I was in this not a podcast, but a documentary that is yet to hit the airwaves here. Yeah. And I drove that for 2 days, 200 miles around the hill country of Texas. So yes, I love that car.
It's such a great color combination as well. In Monterey, I did see a white one go by and I was just floored because it's such a beautiful, and it's iconic, obviously, with the Miami Vice connection. It's just such a beautiful car.
Yes, it is. And very rarely do I get to drive behind one. But the other day, Brian was driving it and I was following him. I'm like, God, this car is gorgeous. Look at this rear end. So, I think in white, it is stunning. Very stunning.
And also you have a love for some type of American muscle car that we've talked about a little bit, because as I was helping with the sale of the Ferrari GTO, everybody knows I was able to buy an unrestored Pontiac GTO, and you really seem to be excited about that.
I was, and I am that you have one, because that brings back my memories of when I learned to drive a stick shift with my brother in his Pontiac GTO, and it was a 67. And I'll never forget the clutch. I'll never forget trying to do it, to maneuver everything on a hill. And you really needed 3 feet. When you're starting out, it was very, very stressful. And I still have fond memories of that. And then afterwards, he was kind enough. He was a good brother. He let me take it out on a desolate road in Glendora. Yes, at the time there were desolate roads. And at night I would drive it up and down, just enjoying the heck out of it. And he sold it and I was heartbroken. but I have those memories. And when you bought yours and you kindly, and now this is on the podcast, you said, if I'm ever in Cincinnati, you'd let me drive it. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
okie dokie, because I told Brian, maybe I would like to have another one, and he says, really, what car are you going to sell? And I said, well, I wasn't thinking about that. But the more I thought about it was, I had the memories of it, and it's my brother, and it's
Yeah.
learning to drive a stick shift. And that is forever in my memory. To have one would not be the same. So I'll settle for driving yours someday.
Okay. It's recorded here forever on the
Okay.
podcast. So yes. Now,
I've been
before we get,
thinking about it.
yeah. Now, before we get to the Ferraris, is there an update on the Rambo Lambo that you might have our listeners find interesting?
Well, the Rambo Lambo, it's part of the family now. I've had it since October of 1997. And it's still a love-hate relationship. Brian hates it. I love it. But it's part of the family, so it's not going anywhere. But the big thing about it is trying to find a set of tires. And it's a funny thing because they are Pirelli Scorpions 345 6017. Now, good luck in trying to find some of those, because now Pirelli only makes them in batches, and I believe has a contract with Lamborghini. But even if you were able to find a set, you would have to mortgage your home to buy them. There is a set that Brian has, and I'm at a loss. I only know the Scorpions, but that will work on the car. But it's just that they're amazing tires. So anyway, it's still alive and well, and I love every minute of it.
That's so crazy of an issue to have, because if you do find the tires, chances are they might be out of date and too old or dry rotted.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
true, unless Pirelli just decided they liked me and wanted to make a good deal on a set for me. But I don't see that happening.
well, let's move on to Ferraris. That's the whole reason for this podcast. Now we've got a lot of stuff coming up here. So it's the 2024 annual meet, the Ferrari, the big, amazing show up at Elkhart Lake, starting on September the 8th. I'll be in town on the 7th and through the 12th. So if you would just I know you've been knees deep in this for months now. Give us an overview of everything that's happening and how my listeners can get involved.
Well, I want to give a little background on why Elkhart Lake Road America is so important to the Ferrari, not just the Ferrari Club, but road racing in general. Because back in the 50s, that was where road racing started. It only lasted for several years, and then it was outlawed. And so then Road America was born in, I believe, 1955. And ever since then, it has been the place where the history and tradition remains, not just Ferraris, but all kinds of cars. And just as important, back in 1961, 62, where there were several guys that were out there with their friends at the track, and they noticed this old Ferrari Barchetta that looked kind of ratty and just kind of, nobody really cared about it. And later on in the day, they opened up the hood and it had a Chevrolet engine in it. And they decided that this is so wrong. And of course it is, but a lot of them did that back in the day, because Ferraris were not really well known in the early 60s. So they did that when they were racing. So these guys decided that their mission became to preserve, restore Ferraris. And so the Ferrari Club was born, basically the idea in Elkhart Lake. So we come back to that.
Wow.
And there's just so much tradition and history, and it continues. I think this is the 5th time that this will be the 60th. This is the 5th time it's returned to Elkhart Lake. So it's bringing cars from everywhere, from Canada, from, all over the United States. And we have 199 cars on the field, both judged and displayed.
Wow.
125 of those are being judged. And the theme is the first 25 years. And we have actually, let me see, 61 cars representing that first 25 years. 53 are Enzo eras. And I don't even think Ferrari could get that many in one place at one time.
Can you do me a favor? Can we get one more car so it hits 200?
I thinking there will be one more car. Somebody, we're waiting for his VIN, but we won't talk around about that. But yeah,
Okay, okay. Well, that's amazing. I mean, the number of early Ferraris in one spot, that's just going to be unbelievable to see.
well, it is going to be shock and awe for people like yourself that will be there. And you just can't imagine a field like this. It's unbelievable. The collector cars that have come out for this. And we do have several special. One of them is the car, the 250 GTO will be there. And it will also be on the track. We also have a 750 Monza, which won Best of the Best for the Peninsula Awards in 2022. We have a couple cars that won Best of their class at Pebble just this year. They will be on display. And we also have, let's see, it's a 342 America PF Cabriolet. It's the King Leopold car. That will be there. So these are just, and supercars from a 288 GTO through Enzo. We have a class of 8 or 9 of those. And
Wow.
12s, we have a Nart Spider. I could go on of all these special cars that will be there. And I am just so darn excited to be able to see them all in one place at one time. I don't think we'll
Yeah.
do this again.
Yeah, me as well. So Sunday, the 8th, that's when the event registration occurs. There's a welcome party
Correct.
that night.
There's a,
Mo
yes, welcome party. You're exactly.
Okay.
And then Monday is the Concours.
Okay. Yeah, so Monday, that's when I'll be out there judging cars with the team you put me on. I appreciate that opportunity. And we also have the Copa Bella Macchina, right? Tell our listeners a
Yeah,
little bit about that.
Copa Bella Macchina is basically means beautiful machine, and it's a program by where there are 3 components of our Concours program: the Concours, Copa Bella Macchina, and Copa GT, which is the track event. If you get a Platino, which is 97 points or better in the Concours, you are eligible to enter your car in the Copa Bella Macchina. And in this competition, it's about 2 hours. Everything in your car has to work 100%. There's a static portion where it's in the staging area. They go over lights, everything. You have to have the keys to the little pouch box in the 328. You've got to have everything. And then it goes out on a road, like a road test for about 5 miles, and you go through the gears and all of that type of, the turn signals, braking, all of that. Even your windshield wipers have to work, and they have to spray in the right direction. You are allowed one problem, if you will, or something doesn't work, say a light doesn't work, you're allowed one. And at the end of the competition, if it's only one, you are allowed 1 hour to fix that. And you can ask anybody to help you, anything. You just can't ask your evaluator anything. So it's 100% pass or fail. And it's not a walk in the park. For older cars, it's a different ball game than the newer cars, but it's an amazing competition. And this year we had 58 cars enter, which is only rivals Monterey in 2015. We are down now because things happen down to, I think, 50 cars. So
Right. Okay.
we'll see how many get Platinos. So we've got our work cut out for us. And
Yes.
then,
Oh,
uh,
sorry. Just real quick on Copa Bella. I did that last year for the first time. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing some pictures from last year's annual meet where it was just a wonderful event. But yeah, it's really interesting because, like you said, the older cars, it's a totally different ball game. I would argue it could be even more difficult because, if you do a full restoration on a 275 GTB to get every little tiny thing working just right, versus let's say a 458 Italia, so it's really interesting to take a Platino car to that next level. It's not as easy as it may seem. Like you really got to have that car running perfectly, right?
you do. And remember, with the older cars, there's a lot more, as you mentioned, there are a lot more moving parts that could go wrong. And remember, they're Italian. So on the Concours field, that light might work. You get it over there and maybe it doesn't work. But modern cars, plus with the motors, all the Concours and what's correct and all that's done on the Concours field. When you get to Copa Bella Macchina, it's just if it works. But modern cars don't, especially with their motors, they don't have a lot of things going on with the motors. They're not pulled out, they're not worked on. It's all basically computerized. So it's
Right.
a whole different thing. And usually the modern cars are a bit easier. Their biggest thing is that infotainment system,
Right.
checking, because that's their
Right.
biggest thing. And so anyway, it's two different ball games, but it's all pretty exciting. Then if you have entered your car beyond the Copa Bella Macchina to go on the track where your track skills are evaluated, it's the Copa GT. It is the highest honor that the club bestows on an individual at the annual meet. And so this year we have 10 contenders, and
Wow.
it's going to be a very competitive field. We only bestow total of three, and they're independent evaluators that are not connected with the club at all. They're totally neutral because we don't want friends judging friends. And the drivers go out on the track. They go three laps, and they're evaluated with many different criteria. And then they come in, they change evaluators. They go out for 3 more laps. Then they come in, and then the evaluators and I go into a secret room, if you will, and where no outsiders are allowed. And they talk about the cars and the drivers, and they rate them. I just point and say, what do you guys think? And they talk amongst themselves, and they evaluate the cars on like how they interact with other cars on the road. It's pretty intense. So it's going to be an intense one this year, and I predict there will be 3. Last year there was only 1.
Wow. Which one was that last year?
In Bend, there was
Yeah.
only 1 Copa GT. In Mont Tremblant, there was only 1. However, in Sebring, there were 3.
Okay.
It just depends on the venue and who comes out, but we've got very, very experienced drivers that are vying for this at Road America. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Well, and there's just more and more stuff to do. So whether or not you take in the Concours show or the track events, there's also sounds like we have a trip to the pleasure drive to the Air Museum, a parade to
Yes.
Elkhart Lake, a bonfire at the resort, like a lot of fun stuff.
Well, let's not forget the fashion show.
Oh,
Something,
there's a
yes, no, really, something for everybody. So, not everybody's into the cars, and so, a lot of the guys signed up for the fashion show. It's kind of interesting, and the champagne cruise on the lake and all of that. I won't be doing any of that. I
You'll be
never,
working.
from the time I get there till Wednesday night at the major awards banquet, that's all I do. But
Yes.
it's a labor of love. I think it's fabulous to do that, be able to do this.
Well, and it's really great because even after the Gala Awards, I just got to go over that schedule because you're doing a tour of motion products, which I've always wanted to go there. They do incredible restorations, a tour of Lambeau Field, just a lot of. It's a packed few days. And tell us a little bit about the resort that's kind of the home base for all of this.
Well, the Osthoff has always been our home base every time we have this event because it's right near Road America. It's a fabulous resort. If you want to do a spa thing, I don't know what that's like out there, but
You've heard rumors.
I've heard rumors. You also have by the Osthoff, you also have Siebkens, which is a huge traditional hotel as well. It's all right in there, but the Osthoff is just magnificent in what they offer.
That's
And
awesome.
it's our host hotel, and we were too big this year. In the past, we've had our Concours on the lawns at the Osthoff, but it was way too big this year. There's no way we could do it, so moved to Road America.
That's a good problem to have, right? If your show's
Yeah,
getting
I am
too big and
excited to have that.
successful.
I'm excited to have that problem.
Now to
I
find out.
have
Oh, go ahead.
no. I was just saying I have let's say I have, excuse me, 54 judges. I have 8 judges under instruction, which are my training judges. We're planning for the future. So we've got a full field of judges, and I needed every single one of them I had. And everybody is turning out and in full support of this and very excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, what's the best way for our folks to find out more? Is it the Ferrari Club of America website? Is it the
Yes,
FCA?
well, it's the FCA 2024.org website.
Okay, I'll have all these links in the description if you want to find out more. Well, is there anything else you wanted to cover about the big annual meet coming up?
It's less than 2 weeks away, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
You'll make it, Leslie.
You should see my island countertop here. Brian's not here right now, but I have everything spread out. It's just, but I know where everything is, and I've got little projects to do, but it's getting there. It's getting there, and we are very excited. And there's going to be a lot of photography there, a lot. Yeah. And what we did last year, which I'm pretty excited about, is at Bend, we had a group photo of the judges, which we had never done before.
Oh yes, I'm in that picture. I'll put it on the screen here. I'll find it.
It was so well received. The big plan is to do that this year out in the winner's circle. So that'll be done before the concours. And nice. I think it makes a difference. It absolutely makes a difference. It's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Well, as always, Leslie, thanks so much for being on the Collector Car Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I always like to talk about the cars. No matter what cars they are, I like to talk about them.
Well, I'll see you in a week or two by the time this posts. So I'm looking forward to hanging out some, working together.
Yes, we will. And much to talk about.